Mr. Bowtie's Texas High School Sports Machine is driven by Henry Finley and McCombs Ford West, a proud supporter of all area local sports. McCombs Ford West, simply the best.
Hey folks, Greg Sherman, Mr. Bowtie here once again. Don't forget to bang home that subscribe button on your screen so that way you can stay up to date on all the great stuff going on around the area, presented as always by McCombs Ford West. Usually we talk about sports, usually being all the time, but let's change it up a little bit. Let's talk a little Jeopardy, the annual Jeopardy College Tournament taking place this month in February. More than 25,000 applied and only 36 ended up making the big show. One of them, 2019 San Antonio Taft alum Jasmine Manansala, made the cut, and she will be competing as they'll go from 36 down to 12, and eventually there'll be one winner. Jasmine joining me. Jasmine, I will remind you, you don't necessarily have to phrase everything in the form of a question, but we're glad to have you here. And walk us through, first off, how you got from 25,000 down to 36.
Sure thing, Greg. Thank you for having me. So about a year or so before actually filming, I think this must have been November 2020, I took an online anytime test that was available on the Jeopardy website. And I would say about a month or so after taking that test, I received an email saying that I qualified for an in-person test, which was about the same length, also 50 questions in the Jeopardy format. And after passing that through Zoom, I was able to do an in-person, well, also through Zoom screening, where I played a mock game against a couple of other applicants that were in the call as well. And we also did a very brief interview with Mindy Zemrak. I believe her title is casting director, casting producer. I'm sure that's not exact, but she's very important and a very helpful contact for us. And then before getting onto the tournament, I think I had to wait about, I would say, 10 months between January and October before knowing that I was solidified to be in the tournament.
Yes, it had to have been tough. We hear all the time about how contestants on Jeopardy will say, "Oh, it's surreal" or "it's mind-boggling." How long did it take you to get comfortable out on the set? Because I know the big skill that you have to know is not necessarily knowing what question to use, but also being able to handle the buzzer, which has tripped up so many contestants in the 40 years that it's been on the air.
Oh, definitely. The buzzer was something that was a surprise to me. It was actually bigger than I anticipated. I thought it would be something around the size of a pen, but I really should have listened when I heard it was about the size of a toilet paper roll because it felt big in my hand. And something that I was really nervous about was my hand sweating from being nervous. But I actually, that didn't happen. So I was very grateful. Addressing how surreal it is, I would say that the adjective that really describes how it feels when you're up there is quick, because it really does feel like you're up there. You get so lost in the moment. And by the time that you realize that the round is over, you feel like no time has passed at all.
You kind of hear that in sports where people get nervous before a game, and then once it kicks off or tips off, it's fun. I guess there's going to be a lot of people going to the bathroom right now that want to be on Jeopardy, and they're going to be pulling out their toilet paper rolls, trying to practice. I know you can't reveal how the results went. We'll find out as the tournament goes on. But Mayim Bialik, I know, finally won the hosting job with Ken Jennings after Alex Trebek's passing. I remember her from her Blossom days in the early 90s. I know the younger crowd will remember her from other shows. The experience of having Mayim as a host, whether her being a nuclear scientist or her being a woman, was it just kind of easier versus if you had gone up with the legend Alex Trebek if he had still been alive?
Oh, I'm not sure. Well, I'm not sure if easier is the best word, but it was interesting to be among the first groups to experience her as a permanent host for primetime. I was definitely a really nice experience because she was so kind to us. She was very understanding about how difficult it might be to pronounce my last name because it can get lost through it. But there was even a moment where we had a technical difficulty that prevented us from recording any more of the rounds. And everyone who was supposed to be filming that day got to sit in the audience And then Mayim went, and we essentially had a one-on-one with her where we got to ask her questions about her experiences in her life. And it felt very warm.
Again, I know you can't reveal what happened, but were you in the first group to go, or were you in a later group? And if you were in a later group, were you able to at least sit back and be able to kind of soak in the atmosphere? Since we know for a lot of people, getting on that set can be a very shocking awe, so to speak.
Oh, I was part of the group in the first day of filming, but I was still in the last round to go. So I think by that time I was just very much itching to just get on there and compete. Just I wanted to know what it felt like to make things very official.
Now, of course, you're a student at Rice University. We know Rice has extremely high academic standards. You graduated from Taft. We know Taft is one of the magnet schools in Northside. How did going to Taft and then on to Rice prepare you for the college tournament?
Well, at Taft and Commerce, I tried my best to develop a lot of communication skills, and I hope that translated into me being a very bright contestant, someone that would really be suitable for being on set. And I think that a lot of the teachers that I had at in my high school were very supportive of that, of being on Jeopardy as well, because I remember there was one teacher, Miss Dickerson, who would play Jeopardy in class when I stayed over for some kind of activity. And I'm really hoping that she sees me on there, because I think that's something that I really kept in mind as I was going through.
Did you grow up as a game show fan? I know game shows kind of saw their renaissance in the last 5 to 6 years. You grew up on liking game shows, any in particular?
Pretty much Jeopardy. That's usually what we had recorded on our DVR, and at the end of the week, we would go through and watch all the episodes as a family.
How well did you do at home?
I think I did pretty well as a couch contestant. I remember when I was younger that I would get frustrated at not knowing the answers, and my parents would tell me, well, you're 6 years old. Of course, you're not going to know the answers at this point. But whenever there was something like a Disney Channel category at the time, I would feel pretty good about it.
Yeah, there's a few people that are adults that would struggle just to write their name with a light pen, much less anything else. We know that the other side is there's a lot of serious money involved, whether you go out in the first round, you end up winning the title. So we know there's I can't remember what the payouts are, but I know this isn't just pizza money that they're playing for.
Right, of course. And it was something that I tried not to think too hard about because I didn't want it to mess with my head. But I was really hoping to use the money to put towards my education, because Rice is known as being a very for its high academic quality, but it's also known for its high costs. So I'm hoping to use that to relieve some financial pressure that's on me.
What's the future plan once you graduate from Rice? What are your future ambitions, future goals?
Well, I'm hoping to go to graduate school for computer science, and I'm looking at different programs to help achieve a master's at first. I think right now, for looking at a specific career, I'm really attracted to software engineering, or especially user experience designing, because I think that really captures my interest as someone who's majoring in computer science and cognitive sciences.
Jasmine Manansala, I hope I'm saying that right. If you are confused and thinking this is Wheel of Fortune, her last name is Manansala. So
yes.
A whole bunch of A's in there, though. Again, cost you $250 a vowel. Wrong show. Well, Jasmine, we appreciate it, and I look forward to seeing how your progress goes.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me.
That's Jasmine Manansala, 2019 Taft alum at Rice University. She'll be on the Jeopardy College Tournament. Make sure you check your local listings for the time channel that you can find it in your area.